The following video was produced by the Virginia Farm Bureau because agriculture matters.
I used to jam all my vegetable plants right close together. I thought I was conserving space. But one of the things that I found is by spacing plants farther apart, I had a higher per square foot yield than jamming them close together. So on my tomatoes here, I found it's better to plant less, but plant them 5 feet apart in between in the row, and maybe as much as 6 feet apart between the rows. I may have a third of the plants or half the plants than I normally would have, but the total end production was far better. Spacing my squash plants here really gives greater production over a longer period of time. Not only that, I have left room for another 5 plants for a later crop that'll get me production maybe an extra 2 or 3 months down the road. The other thing you might want to consider is, depending on where the sun comes from, you really want to have the lower plants in the foreground. And if you're planting things like corn, you'll plant them in the background of where the sun is, so the sun pretty much can hit all of your plants throughout the day. One of the great benefits of doing your own vegetable gardening is that you can pick your own varieties that you want to grow. In fact, I recommend planting only 1, maybe 2 of the same exact variety, but plant more varieties, because depending on climatic factors, if it's hot or if it's rainy or if it's dry, you'll find some of these peppers or tomatoes will do far better than others. So if you're going to plant 12 peppers, you're better off planting maybe 12 different types or 6 different types than all of the same type. Not only that, it allows you to use these for different types of cooking. Some may be sweet, like the sweet banana, or the jalapeno, or even the Thai hot for hot cooking. You really can get a great variety of peppers, and this also runs true with your tomatoes. Instead of planting 6 to 12 of the same exact tomato, plant 6 to 12 different types, and then you can enjoy that longer throughout the season. Years ago, I couldn't wait to get out in the vegetable garden in the spring and fill it up with, tomatoes, peppers, broccoli plants, cauliflower. But let me tell you, I found over a period of time, the warm season vegetables like peppers and tomatoes and eggplant, even potatoes, benefited from a later planting. And you want to do this when the temperatures get above 50 degrees during the evening. And by doing this, I have fruit or tomatoes or potatoes all the way into the fall. When everyone else's vegetable garden has finished producing, my vegetable garden just comes into production. The one thing you'll notice in this garden that there is very few weeds. And I've used a weed barrier, and you can get a whole assortment of weed barriers. Some are fiber, some are red, some are black, some are charcoal, some are white. But they really help maintain the garden so you're not pulling weeds all the time. The other thing you'll notice in the garden is I've left spaces out for additional plants. I have not planted all my plants yet. So here is another pepper and a tomato that I'll put in for an extra late season. The greatest thing about vegetable gardening is you can enjoy your very first tomato. I'm Mark Viette. Join me next time in the garden.